We look up to our big brothers at Chevron of how they do COEs. So there you go.
All right, thanks. All right, hi everybody. I'm Warren Bryant. I'm PaaS Governance and Services Lead in Chevron's Central IT Software Engineering Organization. What that means in this context is that I'm the product manager for the Power Platform at Chevron. I also have my colleague Jerry Wu, who's gonna take over about halfway through our portion of this, and he's a drilling and completions enterprise architect. So a little bit, maybe I'll let Jerry come up to introduce himself too. Come on, Jerry. I've been with Chevron about 10 years. Won't spend too much time on all this stuff because we just want to catch up, and ultimately we'll get you to some question and answer sessions too. But been with Chevron about 10 years, and my focus is on sort of building out the business processes and how all these things come together. And Jerry?
Yeah, my name is Jerry Wu. I'm the enterprise architect for Chevron's drilling and completions business. Today I'd like to show you, after Brian's speaking, to talk about some of the use case we built. Probably is different from a lot of the use case Schlumberger is showing you guys. We try to use Power Platform to solve one of the most complex workflow.
And so for those of y'all that don't know Chevron, we're one of the largest energy producers in the world, second largest in the US. We have operations globally, everywhere, basically except for Antarctica, every continent. So when Microsoft came to us early on talking about Power Apps, they would ask us what our use cases are, and really our use cases are anything and everything. So there's no real one narrow perspective that we could give them on that. I won't harp too much on this, but the case for low code, I think Schlumberger did a good job covering this too, of just democratizing citizen development so that we can capture all this value in digital solutions that are out there, but doing it in a way that's safe, in a way that we feel like we're gonna be comfortable supporting, being comfortable championing it ourselves as a central IT organization. And overall our journey. Sorry, I'm running fast. I just want to make sure we get going and get to the good stuff like Jerry's presentation. 2017, we had a big partnership with Microsoft, with Azure, and that drove a lot of other conversations around Microsoft products, specifically Power Apps. So in early 2018, we set out to just start doing some investigation around Power Apps, even just saying, is this even for us? What can it do? What can't it do? Do we want to even spend time on it? At that point, it was just me. I was working on it with just a few people embedded in different organizations where everybody was basically just doing research and playing around with it. About middle of 2018 last year, so almost about a year ago, we just started doing a pilot program access. If somebody wanted access, we just gave it to them, and we said, here, go have fun, let us know how it goes. We would just watch and monitor, and we were almost using a little bit of a lean startup mentality. So we added a couple people from our central team. And then finally, third quarter last year, end of third quarter, we said, let's go ahead and jump in and start seeding some opportunities. So we've picked 4 of our different lines of business and really invested in saying, let's see if we can really make this work at scale and take it out. Does it work in various regions and different business units, different lines of business, and see what learnings we could have before we really invested. Then we went forward from there and we said, hey, that was a great outcome. Let's keep this momentum going. We've been growing our center of excellence. We now have enterprise licensing in place, and we're just expecting a big uptick in trajectories here. Key learnings, big ones just around culture. Being able to know what your culture is and being able to evaluate that and figure out how can I map this into my organization's culture. That's gonna be the big thing, that every journey is different because every company is gonna have a different culture. You heard Schlumberger's story, it's different from what ours is, and some of that is just about managing the cultural aspects, and many of the things that we do as a central team is specifically to culture hack the organization so that we can help overcome some of the barriers and hurdles that people are used to that prevent them from being innovative and building software. And I think I sped through that pretty quick, so now I'm gonna let Jerry come up and specifically talk about, I mentioned the 4 business lines of business. The drilling and completion story is one of those lines of business that we were working with early on to help them get started and use as our POC.
Yep, thanks, Warren. So my name is Jerry Wu. I just mentioned I work for drilling and completions function for Chevron. And when we started touching Power Apps probably a year or two ago, I mean, we see the power of it, right? So you can build things so fast. As you guys can see, Schlumberger's presentation, just fantastic application built by citizen developers, people, I mean, with little, almost no training, and built some beautiful application, create a lot of value very quickly. So everybody can see that, and we're leveraging the same kind of capability today. But one other thing today I want to present is something we did slightly different. Hopefully that's of some value to you guys too, is we try to push the limit. We try to see, can we leverage Power Platform to build one of our most complex workflow? So I'm going to start with just talking briefly about what do we do and what kind of challenge we're facing today. So drilling and completions, if you look at this little diagram on the screen, the outside of this circle is what we call well life cycle. It's basically when we identified an opportunity, a well we want to drill. We go through the planning process, we engineered, we basically designed that well, then we drill the well. Once we finish what we call completions process, we hand it over to operation, basically for day-to-day. You know, they're gonna start to extract oil out of ground. So our job, that's basically is a big part of this well life cycle. Now, if you look at the middle of this circle, you see all these what we call spaghetti balls. That's our current state. Just like a lot of other business, drilling and completion is extremely complex, right? We have hundreds of business applications, very specific applications, some of them coming from Schlumberger, actually. So all these applications we use to help us to do our work day to day. Now, if you're thinking about also the shadow systems, I'm talking about all the spreadsheet we created by our engineers. We're looking at probably thousands of applications. Now, all these applications, a lot of point-to-point connections, a lot of manual integrations, people copy data from spreadsheet into system, all the other way around, right? And you have duplicated data, right? You have out of sync data, you have data quality issues. So what we have, I'm very sure it's not unique. Everybody having, more or less similar kind of situation. So that is overall the big challenge we're facing. Now, today, what I try to show you is we grab one of our example of how we leverage overall Microsoft technology, especially the Power Platform, to help us solving some of the challenge. The example I'm going to show you is one of our key business process. That's the bread and butter of what we do. It's called well planning / well design process. Our engineers, they need to design a well, right? And this process is extremely complex, very, very big process workflow. And it's thinking about design a car, right? There's so many components that they interact with each other. Nothing is solo, right? When you design an engine, you have to think about transmission and all the other pieces that work together. So the same thing with well design. You design a complex well, it's very complex. Now, one of the most complicated well probably on this planet is those deep water well that we drill. And when we design such a well, it's just so many pieces, it needs to be considered. And as of today, we use a lot of systems. But at the same time, believe it or not, the whole process, the core of our design, what our engineering really use, is actually over 50 spreadsheets. If you look at it, it's extremely complex spreadsheet, but those are what our engineer really use. On top of some of the engineering tools, some other business applications they have to use, right? They have to use this 50-something spreadsheet to build the well. And most of the spreadsheet actually I play solo. In a sense, basically, you don't have those spreadsheets even linked for a very reason, because of the complexity. If you connect them all together, any kind of update probably going to take days, and it will crash. So, yeah, in our case, then, and that is actually our reality. Just because the complexity, they're using all these spreadsheets all these days. So what do we try to do? We look at it, we say, okay, let's talk about it. Is there any pain point? It's a huge pain point for our business. The whole design process today with the 50-plus spreadsheet takes about 9 to 12 months to design a well. It's not only because of this, of course, the complexity of the well itself is the key. Now, we start talking to the business and say, where are the pain points, right? So the number one pain point is with all these kind of spreadsheet-based shadow systems, if you're thinking about it, one of our engineering, many engineers getting involved in the process, if somebody changed spreadsheet number 30, it will impact spreadsheet number 10 or 20. Just thinking about it, if the person who designed a car's engine make a change, it's probably going to impact the transmission people. That's the same exact logic in our case. And since we have so many spreadsheets, they're playing solo. There's no way you can manage them. So it's extremely difficult. What ended up happening a lot of times when you make a change, a critical change in the overall design, you have to go all the way back to the beginning and say, let's redesign everything. We rerun all the safety check. We rerun all the tests in order to have a safe and optimized design. It takes a lot of time. That's why it takes us generally 9 to 12 months to design a complex well. So another big thing, big issue, pain point, it's not as obvious, is all this manual integration we're doing. We have a lot of business applications that you need to use to help you test the well's safety. So the user, today, they actually copy data from spreadsheet. They go to the engineering tool. They enter the data in the engineering tool. They start running the test, get result back, copy back to the spreadsheet. Now, it needs a lot of human work. And more importantly, the engineers need to learn how to use multiple business applications on top of the spreadsheet they're using. So it actually takes a lot of time to learn all these systems, especially when you transition from one role to the other. There's a huge steep learning curve, a lot of document they need to read. So the solution, I'm going to talk about the solution we really provided. One of the initiative we did is we redid the whole process, leverage Power Platform. On top of that, we leverage heavily Microsoft's integration services. So before we jump into solution, real quick about Chevron's vision of our digital platform. That help you probably to understand what really we did to find the solution for this challenge. So our digital platform really is the core of our digital transformation. So if you're thinking about, we try to wrap all our business applications, our data, our solutions, our workflow into kind of layered structure. Then you see what's on the screen. You have the bottom layer is all the common services we're leveraging, and Microsoft technology is a key component of that. And middle layer is what we call enabling layer. We have all the business application I'm referring to. We actually wrap it up. Then what we do is we create APIs for all the Power Apps to consume. The point is this, we are hoping to say, look, users don't need to learn all these different applications. For those common engineers, you don't need to learn all this. All you have to do is go through Power Apps. Then it will interact with the business application to do the work you want it to do. That's what this enabling layer is all about. It's doing the work, but you don't have to interact with it. At the top, what do we call engagement layer? It's small, but it's very critical. We're leveraging all the Power Platform as the foundation of all our engagement layer. We didn't call it GUI, because engagement layer is really all the user interaction combined. It's much more than GUI. It could be collaboration, it could be workflow, it could be anything. But anything the user interact with the whole system, that goes through Power Platform. So this is our architecture. That's how we're introducing the Power Platform and working with our enabling layer and foundational layer. So real quick on what we did. This solution, we took the well planning process, the 50+ spreadsheet, with all these system integration. We basically converted into Power Apps. Well, it's really Dynamics and Power Apps combined, Canvas and Model Apps combined. And we did that. We're also in the process of wrapping all the APIs for these Power Apps to call. So what does it give us? So once we did these Power Apps, converting this spreadsheet into Power Apps, what do we give the user is a single point of entry. The user no longer gonna need to look for all this spreadsheet. Hey, I need to do a casing design. Which is the newest version of casing design spreadsheet? You have one place to go to, and if I want to interact with external system, you go through the same Power Apps. You don't go to the system. You don't need to get input. You don't need to get access. You just go through the single point of entry. Another key thing is once we move to Power Apps and Dynamics, what we have is we have CDS as our backend. It's a single point of storage. So if you're the casing design engineer, you design the casing, it's saved to CDS. I'm designing the cement and fluid. I can see immediately what the casing design change you made and how that's gonna impact me. Of course, we're gonna, in the conjunction of using Flow to notify people, hey, look, you are related to the casing design. You're related to fluid. So the fluid is changed. Now it may impact your casing design. So, and number 3 is we have what we call consistent look and feel, right? For our users, this is actually very important to our users. It's much less obvious. It's when our users, then when they start, those are engineers. They're not IT people. They go in using a tool. What they hate the most is we ask them for IT training and read the IT document to use a system. So what they want to do is they said, can I just go to a system? I want to see finance system. I don't want to learn how to log into SAP. Can I just get it? Go to my Power Apps. I can see my finance data. I want inventory data. Do I need to log into Ariba? I don't want to do that. I want to know how to do that. Can I just see everything related to my well design in one place, consistent look and feel? I have all the menu I'm comfortable with. I know how to navigate. I know how to get to next step. So that's basically what is the solution we're providing. It's kind of in summary, we provide a solution using Power Apps for the engagement layer, and we wrap up all the business application using API. So all the people go through Power Apps to accessing not external, really, all the business applications. So I cannot really show you the whole application, but I asked my engineers to help me build a very short video, at least to show you. He's going to show you a very small piece of well design, what we call cost estimation. He's going to show you the spreadsheet they used before and the new Power Apps, how it looks like. It's a very short video, but hopefully it gives you an idea of what it looks like.
An opportunity was identified to utilize Microsoft's Power Platform to solve a business problem for Chevron's business units with unconventional resources. Engineers needed a simple and standard way to generate accurate and detailed probabilistic cost and time estimates for drilling and completions operation. Historically, engineers have used Excel to generate deterministic estimates at a high level. This was a very manual process and contained error traps, resulting in inaccurate estimates and difficult comparisons of planned versus actual time and cost. A new tool was built utilizing Microsoft Power Apps to digitally enhance the process by providing a user-friendly interface and to serve as a one-stop shop to generate cost and time estimates by integrating with multiple Chevron databases and external applications. This has driven standardization, simplification, and accuracy across Chevron business units and from engineer to engineer. This tool was built on the Microsoft Power Platform based on its ability to integrate with other workflows and scale to additional business units.
Okay, so as you can see, this is just showing a couple of the spreadsheet today we use for cost estimation with which is a sub workflow of overall well planning. You see how complex the spreadsheet is. And actually we have more than 50 of them for our well design. And so basically what he did is actually showed you the spreadsheet before and how the Power Apps we built today. Now I want to, in summary, what I discussed, talked about. I want to zoom into these very small sub-workflow of our well planning. This is called cost estimation. It's one step of our well planning. Just want to show you, kind of in summary, what the role of Power Platform played. If you look at the top, this is actually the Power Platform we built, all these different windows. We literally built only like 6, 7 windows. That's step by step to guide the users through to building all their well cost estimation. Now, behind the scene, what it does, it's making all the API calls to all the external systems. So Power Apps is calling the external system on behalf of the users to get all the information about finance, the inventory, the contract information. They talk to external system that does engineering cost estimation. They talk to well information system, data warehouse, all that. The user doesn't need to learn none of that. So that is the architecture we use to implement it. This is a small piece of it. And one last thing is the value creation, right? So this current solution of our well planning solution, we're in a try run. The current estimation is it will cut our well planning time from 9 to 12 months. We'll shorten it about 50%. That's a huge number to us because that means several months ahead of time we can have the well operating. That means multi-million dollars saving for the company. Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Warren.
So I'm going to do 2 things just to jump ahead real quick. I'm going to put a plug for when you go back to see what sessions you may have missed. If you didn't already sit through, we did a COE session this morning. So rather than me hit everything on these slides, go download that one. It's the same slides, and I talk through some of this next stuff in more detail. But ultimately, our vision of success is we want to keep moving the app development closer to the people that are the closest to the business problem. So a little more information on that I elaborate on in the other session. And then our function, we've been using the term COE, but we consider our business people, our teams like Jerry and his teams that are out there building these applications, they're those product teams. They're the ones that are excellent. So we consider our teams that we established at the center to be the center of enablement, where our job is just doing whatever we can to make their lives easier. So rather than sitting here and talking too much about that, go watch the COE session if you want to hear more. As far as our future, where we're going, we want to see smaller apps with more integrations, like the cost estimation tool. It's taking a big business process down into one thing, continually to evolve and iterate on the applications and keep improving them. We also want to be able to bring in some more of our Azure functionality. It was a great session upstairs that I went to talking about integration using Logic apps into other Azure services. But ultimately, if I can leave you with any two things, it's jump in, get started, and know wherever you're starting from, that's not where you're going to end up. Even we're not going to look the same a year from now that we do right now. And so just know that you're going to evolve and grow through this. And with that, we may have time for a couple of questions.
Thank you. I'll ask all the speakers to come up, please.